It's a beautiful day out in the garden. Here's that corn, planted just by throwing seeds on the ground. Got some squash growing into it over here. Do you hear these dogs? I love it. There's a lot of dogs in the neighborhood. So yeah, this squash is coming in. It's looking good. It'll sort of weave in around the corn. So the cool thing about this sort of method of gardening is that you can kind of just state your goals and then breed towards those goals. And so it's like you can make it as hard or as easy as you want for yourself. But the idea is that if you go all in on this idea that nature will provide, and that you're sort of opening up a sail that's going to catch some wind, you're sort of harnessing nature in these really big ways that you're, by being good about selecting for good genetics every time, making sure that it is tailored to your conditions and your growing style, right? That you can breed towards having things be what you want them to be. I guess that's the idea. So I do think that the intersection between what Fukuoka was saying and this new breed of population breeding, landrace breeding that's going on, is going to really make it sort of work and get people to see that this is something that's actually pretty doable on, whatever scale you want it to be. But that ideally, the best, that because it is so specific to your conditions, there's always going to be, there's no going to be one best version of it. It's all going to be really good. And I think that's going to bring back the sort of autonomy to the world that used to exist. Also that, you probably, I don't know much about what food looked like back in the day, but I would assume that there was more diversity in terms of what people were eating, simply because it was not all such homogeneous food. This idea that, corn should taste like this, when it's like, we have this version of corn here that you can only grow here, and it's basically you're sort of tasting the earth, you're tasting the biome of where this is created, because it is created and is thriving so much. And I see it. There's just no other way out of climate change. Everyone says, oh, we have to have this, we need to be able to feed these people, and industrial agriculture has brought us these great things. When it's like, I think returning autonomy to the farmer is really the way out. Yeah. You got to read the Jadam book, Young Sang Cho. he has some really good opinions, I think, about how it's basically, agriculture is like a chemical and like machine, agricultural machine game if you're trying to make money. And you have to buy into all these things. And it doesn't have to be that way. But a key to bringing autonomy back to the grower seems to be, I think, that you are locking in on something specific that you can do where you are by tailoring it in, by really, locking it in, and that we can breed our way out of a lot of problems. You can breed your way out of a lot of things. And when you consider what the Native American breeders did, it's incredible. And that this was done by people who are most likely not literate. That this is knowledge, practical knowledge passed on verbally from generation to generation. But that, there were some really sophisticated things going on in their agriculture. Here are those Maximas. They're looking pretty good today. I think these are off to the races, There's still a few, like over here. You can see the leaves do get droopy during the day. And I know that sometimes they do, and they spring back. But it's just like, I'm always worried, because it's like, how many of these Maximas are going to make it? So this is one that I'm interested in getting going, really breeding a good version of. I'm also looking into trying to graft them onto better rootstock. For example, Moshada rootstock. Because Moshada's rocking, but these ones, not so hot. They seem to struggle a little bit. So, we'll see. But the flavor on these is, they call it the Maxima. I don't know exactly why, but it could be because of the Maxima flavor. Planted some dry beans in here. This used to be covered by some of that black landscape fabric. So that's what's going on. And then I covered it with some clover that I cut down with the scythe. So here's another suffering Maxima. But check this out. Here's one of the pumpkins. The beginning of it anyway. There's a few of those. Yeah, I should have got this out a little earlier probably. But again, I don't like doing seedlings. I should have just planted stuff directly into the ground earlier. But hey, when it happens, it happens. A lot of this stuff's short season though, so it doesn't really matter. It'll make it fine. Some stuff I gotta plan out. A little bit here. Peppers. Here's some tobacco plants. No, Mom, I don't smoke tobacco. But it is cool to grow. And that's a high outcrosser. That one's a pretty easy one to land race. So I'm interested in seeing where I can take the genetics on that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't. I might have to find someone to smoke it, because I don't really know what the desirable traits are as far as smoking it. It does look very cool though, and grows well in Kentucky. Kentucky is famous for its tobacco. You can find fields of it. There's a pedestrian trail that they just made that goes through giant fields of tobacco, and it looks pretty cool out there. It's a kind of, I don't know, it's sort of like a Super Mario Brothers looking plant. There's something that kind of eats the leaves early on, some I can't remember, some bug that will be a little bit of a problem, but they do generally outgrow that and then just really start rocking when you put them directly on the ground. The seed's tiny though, so it takes a while before it can sort of gain its independence. So that's one that I don't know if I'll ever be able to direct seed without some serious weeding, which is just don't want to do it. As you can see, this is like not your average garden in a lot of ways. But plants are where they need to be, and they're fertile. It's just like this thing, weeds, I don't think it really matters if you have them that much, as long as they're not getting in the way of, they're not shading out the thing you're trying to grow, basically. Is the idea. But I mean, whatever. If you want to weed your kitchen garden, that's fine. That's not that much weeding. People have to do some sort of exercise somehow anyway. And so that's sort of the thing, yeah, it's like, there's a lot that's kind of redundant in modern life. We got to go to work so we can get food. You got to go to the gym so that you can work out. You got to pay to go to the gym. I don't know. It's just like things you